This was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced in my entire real estate career. So picture this. I walk into a listing appointment from someone that I met on social media. And I'm talking legit met on social media. We are not friends. We did not have any mutual friends. Somehow we've been connected for a while. So they are just a social media friend. Walk into the listing appointment because she and her husband were thinking of selling their house. And listen, homegirl had on pink on purpose, my brand colors, because I was there. So let me tell you, in this episode, I'm going to share with you, because I'm so grateful for this, I have to pass it along. I'm going to share with you how to attract the clients that you want to serve, right? You want to attract a certain type of client with your social media content. And I'm going to break down how this all went down and what I do in my business every single day to actually work with people that I like. So let me go back a little bit for you. When I started off in real estate, I started off on a team. And this team, you've probably heard me tell the story before. This team did cold calling. We did internet leads. And guess what? I didn't like it, but I was good at it, okay? Good at it to the tune that I hit over six figures my first year in I earned way over six figures, right? My take home after the team split was right under six figures, but was good at it, right? I was good at converting these leads. And as time would go, as I built up my confidence with the cold calling leads, at the same time, I was, working on social media. I was getting referrals. I was working my SOI. And there came a time at the end of that first year where, I was feeling burnout. I was, I want to say I closed something like 30 something, 36, 37 deals. And the part though, is that there were certain parts of the business that I absolutely loved and certain parts that I didn't. Okay. And we already know that just because you don't like doing something, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Most things that are going to elevate us or get us to the next level in life will require a certain level of discomfort. But it was deeper than the cold calling, okay? What I noticed was that there were certain clients or certain transactions that felt easier. They felt a little more natural. It felt like I had established trust with these folks. And then there were this other bucket of them that it just felt like even if they hired me and chose me to be their realtor, it was just a push-pull, throughout the transaction. And quite honestly, I ain't really like the people, okay? So fast forward to the end of my first year, I tell the girls in coaching this all the time. You have to take assessment, because what I might have done before is just keep rolling exactly how it was, not checking in, only saying, hey, I'm making money, and not checking in with how I was feeling, and wouldn't have made some adjustments. But I literally made a T chart, okay, in my teacher brain. And on one side, I put a smiley face. On one side, I put a sad face. And I went down and I put down all of my clients that I had closed that year in either category. Who was I happy to do business with? Who would I invite to my home? Who did I feel like we had a connection? Not to say we were key best friends, but it was a solid interaction. And I would definitely want to work with them again. And who would I be cool if I never saw them again? I don't care what you selling, and it's not that they were necessarily nasty, but maybe they were so far away from my house and, we just never really clicked and all those different things. And the results were shocking. I really want you to do this. And the results were the majority of the people, as a matter of fact, all of the people except one in the happy face column came from sphere of influence. It came from social media. It came from, referrals or something like that. One of the people from cold calling made it to that list, that happy list. But everybody else that I was kind of I was kind of straight on, they were the strangers. And I thought to myself, okay, I told my husband at the end of that year, I was like, in order for me to stay in the business, I know that I can make money, but I'm not enjoying this. In order for me to stay in the business, I'm going to have to really leverage how I'm showing up on social media, because I need more of this business. And let me tell you that was somewhere 6-7 years ago now. Every year, it just keeps getting better, right? It keeps getting better on the clients that we are able to attract. And I will tell you this, even though, because now that I've been in the business for a good amount of time, even if they are a stranger, I feel like they can go to my social media. There's enough content for them to either eliminate themselves or encourage them to make a phone call. And let's talk about it. Like, let's talk about how we are attracting clients and how I got a client to, now they did become a client. They are sellers of mine, to like believe so much in what the content was showing that like already the vote of confidence. And I asked her, I said, are you wearing pink because of me? And she said, yes, I just knew, I see you with the pink and I see the branding. And listen, like that is exactly what you want. And by the way, these guys are like the best clients ever. I'm so grateful to God that he is blessing me with not only the opportunity to serve them, but he just keeps upping it with the people that I get to serve. So if you are any of my clients, just know I have prayed for you and God has exceeded the expectation. So besties, let me share with you how we want to use our social media. Now, let me say this. I want you to think about the purpose behind doing social media and showing up on social media, because I know that it is a gift and a curse for a lot of people. For some of you, it is your Achilles heel. You absolutely hate showing up. And I truly believe it's because of the mindset that we bring to it. So let's just do some mindset work real quick. The mindset work that I want you to think through is that I'm not coming on social media to sell, but I am purposeful on social media. I'm not just showing up to show up. I'm not just here to build laughs. I am here to build relationships, right? I am here to increase, and you should be on social media to increase your know, like, and trust factor, because the reality is that people do business with those that they trust. And in this instance where I'm sharing what my sweet seller had on the pink shirt, like we'd already accomplished all three of those things, and I'd never met her. Like, I just want to point that out, right? We've been connecting on social media for a couple of years, and the consistency of showing up in the way and the thought processes that I'm going to teach you in this episode is what helped gain that know, like, and trust factor. And there was not a question on if I would be the one to now. And I'm gonna tell you, I had to come to the appointment and actually know what I was talking about, right? You can't be great on social media and whack in person. But the fact is that trust was already there because I'm showing up to social media, and you need to be showing up on social media thinking that whoever is watching me and observing me from the other side of the phone, I don't know them yet, but I want them to know me, and I want them to know that we are building relationship, and that is your purpose. We're not here to just make people laugh. We're not here to overwhelm them with infographics that they're not reading anyway. You want to build relationships on social media. And I will tell you that not only have I been able to build relationships with potential clients, but even colleagues, like how you, right? You are watching or listening to me on a form of social media. And I dare somebody say we're not real life besties, okay? We are showing up to build relationships. So I want you to have that thought process, and that can take some of the pressure off of how to show up, because I'm here like just showing up for a friend. I'm here to build relationship. Now, let's talk about when it comes to specific clients though. Number one, and by the way, I break all this down. Like, we talk about this over and over and over in our coaching group. So if you're ever interested in coaching with me, the link will be exactly where you're hearing this episode, rosemarylewis.com/accelerator. Now, let's talk about it though. Number one, understanding and identifying your ideal client. We talk a lot about niching in real estate, or niching, like who depends on who says it. And I think oftentimes we think about it through the lens of, I'm in luxury, or I help first time home buyers, or, I help people downsize, or I have one of my coaching students, she focuses on helping people like transition who are getting older, right? They're going to retirement communities and things like that. But I also want you to be even more specific and think about, like, if I had one client that I could work with all the time, who would it be? Now, that's not to say that you won't work with other people, but once I identify my ideal client and exactly understand who they are, where they live, what their family status is, what's their level of education. Now, when you're coming to social media, you have that frame of reference where you're kind of talking to that person all the time. So these are a couple things I want you to think about. So when it comes to, I'm looking down so that I can tell you what my notes say, like what is the age of the person that your most ideal client? What is their gender? Are they a male? Are they a female? What is their education level? Okay. Are they high school graduates? Are they college graduates? Are they, are you talking to them doctors and lawyers and them, right? So who are you talking to there? What is their family status? Okay. So are you talking, is your ideal client going to be somebody who's like, I'm thinking of my son who's Gen Z, very young, starting out. His interests are going to look way different from somebody who is married for 20 years and, has 4 kids and 3 of them in football and he coached the football team, right? So understand the familial status and goals of the ideal clients that you have, okay? What is their socioeconomic status, the person that you most want to serve or that you have enjoyed serving? And these are all the different things that I want you to think about. Now, I cannot overemphasize that this does not mean I'm shutting everything out and I'm not going to help anybody else. But in a couple of steps, I'm going to explain to you why it's very, very important to really take some time to really identify who do I like working with. Because let me tell you, if I would not have made my superficial, T-chart with the happy face and the sad face, then if I was only going off of the money that I was making, because at that time I kind of was making just a little bit more money with the cold call leads, because that's why I was putting the most of my lead generation energy in. If I was only paying attention to the dollar and cents and not like who I actually enjoyed working with, then I would have been building a business on a foundation that would not have been sustainable for me. Okay. So take the time to figure out not only what's bringing in revenue, but also what do you enjoy doing? And the way that I work, when I was thinking about identifying my ideal client, and this is the way I come to social media, I literally think about one of my clients, right? I literally think about her. I tell my coaching students her name, they're familiar with her. And I think about what would be interesting to her, right? Because I know how many kids she got. I know what her family situation, I know what her challenges are. I know what it was like to work with her. I know some of her concerns. So anytime I come to social media, I am talking to her, which doesn't surprise me that even though I wasn't talking to the lady with the pink shirt, that she appeared, right? And she might even replace, she's so dope, she might replace my ideal idea of a client. But am I making sense? Because I'm talking to somebody, I'm attracting other like people to that. Okay. So be clear on who your ideal client is. Then we've talked about this before. Where are they hanging out? Now, this is where, and I've done an episode previously about the mistakes that realtors make on social media. Check that out. It's episode 205. I will link it here, rosemarylewis.com/205. Because one mistake that I see is that we try to be everywhere instead of being consistent on one platform. You just kind of doing a little something everywhere, and it's not giving you the best bang for your buck, or you're showing up where your ideal client is not at. So for instance, if I was a corporate person and I was looking for a corporate job, I'm not going to be posting my resume to Facebook because that's not where corporate recruiters are. They are on LinkedIn. Okay. So, and not to say that you might not catch a recruiter or catch somebody who's interested, but 9 times out of 10, you want to put your efforts where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And the same thing, if you are niching down to a particular person, you have identified the ideal client you want to attract, then you need to figure out where are they on social media and where they're showing up. So are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? And they may be on several, but pick one where you are going to do a better job or a more consistent job of showing up. I'm thinking about my girl, Brianna. She is in Atlanta. Like we've talked about Brianna. She kills it. I will post the episode. She is on the side of real estate where it's apartment locating, right? But she's doing a crazy number of deals. And Brianna, she has mastered TikTok. Her ideal client is showing up consistently on TikTok. They are young professionals. So she is there and she is doing property tours and she is talking to them. She is appealing to their needs over and over. Now, she's also on some other platforms, right? She's on Instagram. She definitely has a reach in these other areas. But TikTok is where, in my opinion, when I look at her, where she got really solidified. And then she branched out to other ones, but she was very specific in showing up where she knew her ideal client was at. So that is yours. Like, first, you got to think about, who is my ideal client? Where is she or he hanging out online? And how can I get there and show value? Which brings us to the next point. Friend, okay, figure out what problems they have. I want you, once you identify your ideal client, and this is just a rule of thumb, like, one of the things also that I love to do with our coaching group, we role play every single week. And we have role play sessions, not only role playing scenarios that are going to bring us new business, but we also role play scenarios like just calling your sphere of influence and checking in with them without sounding salesy. And y'all know how it is when your friend who got the MLM, the multi-level marketing, y'all know when they call you, you kind of let it go to voicemail because they just want you to try this life-changing tea because they don't know how to talk to you about anything else. We don't want to be those people, right? We want to be, and no shade to the MLM people or no shade to realtors who just call their friends to say, who do you know that wants to buy or sell? Nobody, friend. You ain't even ask me how I'm doing. So we role play different scenarios on how to have these natural conversations and work in real estate, okay, because we want to be intentional with our interactions. But we also role play just different common objections that come up between buyers and sellers. So I want you to get into the habit of thinking through the common objections so that you know different ways to solve it. And the same way with my ideal client, I want to be thinking about okay, what are some common challenges that she has in life in and out of real estate? What are some questions swirling around her mind? You see, my lady, mine is a her. What are some questions swirling around her mind? And how can I create content that will speak to that? And I'll give you a little secret sauce of what I did recently. So insurance right now, homeowners insurance is the absolute ghetto. It is extremely expensive. At that end with inflation, there are just so many things that are competing for middle class right now. I really see the middle class being eliminated here shortly. So one problem, when I think of my ideal client, they are already homeowners, okay? They are already homeowners. They are managing families. They are managing schedules. They're managing, how to take care of home while taking care of business and all these different things. And because I know that homeowners insurance is the absolute ghetto, but I wanted to give some context so they just don't go canceling insurance and missing out on their coverage, I did a Facebook Live recently where I just really talked about my own experience, the things and the filters that my husband and I are putting things through as we process what to do with homeowners insurance. And that was there to serve as content, build trust, build that no factor, all of those things, but also to help solve a problem that my ideal client has. So, that's a big one. A small one is, the other day I just gave a date night recommendation in the way me and my husbands do date nights. And what's crazy is that I had several comments, and every comment was from somebody who I would consider to be my ideal client for when they are looking to buy or sell. So with that being said, think through the problems and you show up as a problem solver. Now, work it in, right? Don't be like, I am here to solve a problem. It literally can be a little picture, but the way you position it and the way you have the conversation, again, this is a high level strategy that we teach in coaching. If you're ready to invest in yourself, right? And get this game with your girl, it's time for you to join Accelerator. But I'm telling you, when you think about problems and you make it so attainable and you're building trust and you're showing yourself as resourceful, that is a game changer. And then here is the last one, okay? Because we've talked about when you show up, it goes without saying, when you show up to solve the problems, what you are doing is you are being a resource. In addition to being a resource, friends, be yourself. One thing that amazes me, and I love this comment or this compliment, but it also makes me be like, is when I meet the besties in person, or when I meet someone who may have followed me or been connected with me on social media for a while, and now I'm at their house for a buyer consultation or for a listing consultation, because I do a lot on social media. It's funny to me when they're like, you are just the same online as you are in person. And what that tells me is that there are still a lot of people who don't believe that you are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image and likeness of Christ. Because if you believe that, then you would not believe that you would have to put on this persona in order to show up on social media. And like attracts like. So what you don't want to do, and what I don't want to do, is I don't want to portray a certain persona on social media that is not me. And I'm feeling preachy, but let me tell you something. I know a lot of people that want to be in luxury real estate, and they actually don't know nothing. Not only do you not know nothing about luxury, it's not even interesting to you. Because that's to me, do I sell homes sometimes at a higher price point? Absolutely, I do, right? Just closed one not too long ago that was right under the $3 million mark. But I sold it to somebody who was very much my ideal client, right? I wasn't out here, and I don't want to, well, for me, it would have been pretending, right? I wasn't out here pretending that I was something that I wasn't, or I had knowledge in a base that I didn't. And I'm not please hear my heart. Do not confuse this from I'm growing and learning the business to I'm showing up in a way that's inauthentic to who I really am just for a paycheck, okay? Because people will see right through it, and you will not enjoy the business. I'm telling you, you will not enjoy the business. You will not, I tell my clients all the time, somebody's asking me questions the other day about some interior design stuff. And I told them I'm not into that. If that's what you're looking for, my girl Nancy is probably going to be the best realtor for you. Because if you want me to walk through all these houses with an interior design eye, that's not what I'm into. And I'm not going to be the best fit to support you. But if you're looking for boom, 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 this is actually who I am, and we're going to be a better fit. Don't be afraid to show up as your authentic self, because there's so much fake out there. That authenticity is a key, right? And don't get me wrong, I love a good chat GPT and AI, but it has made so many interactions robotic that it's refreshing to open up your social media and engage with somebody who is just themselves, who's sharing their hobbies, who's witty, who's engaging, and all these things. And I bet you that there's something that you do that is so that somebody would really grasp a hold to, but you are so used to being you that you think it's boring and you think it's not a big deal. I'll give you an example. Last week, we did a sneak peek week for Real Estate for Accelerator, right? I do a week where I open up our coaching platform so that besties from all over can come together and just get an idea of what it looks like to coach. But honestly, my goal for the week is just to serve at a very high level, because I want you to be able to take something away from that experience that you can put right in your business. And there was a young lady who came to the experience. I believe her name was Tanya. And she said, yeah, her name was Tanya. It was one of the besties. And she put in one of our chats about how she was a DIYer, right? How a fun fact about her was that she was DIY. I was like, girl, if I was a DIYer, which I am not, but if I was, I would share that content all over the place, because it's so aligned with being a real estate agent, right? I just bet she has an eye for creativity and balling on a budget, and how you can get luxury looks for less. All of these different things I would incorporate. And she was like, really? I hadn't thought about it in that way. Why? Because it's such a natural gift for her that she forgets that somebody like Rosemary would totally benefit by her sharing that gift. And, somebody might show up to see her talking about her DIY projects, and she could spin that to say, these are the DIY projects my clients are doing. And now we are creating trust, right? She's creating trust. So show up as yourself. Don't overthink it. Now I want you to think about it, because that's something else too. People be showing up on social media not thinking about it and be afraid they go suck. You're going to suck in the beginning. I sucked in the beginning, right? But what happens is that when you suck, and maybe some days I'll suck now, okay? But what happens is it can only go up. The more you show up, the more you get comfortable, the more you engage, you will connect with people who don't even know you. And here's where I really want to encourage you, okay? Not only did I get the listing from Pretty in Pink Shirt, okay? But when I tell you that they are like some of the favorite people, the conversations that we have to have about marketing the house, the way we're going to position it, they are so receptive. In part, they're really dope people, right? I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I trained them on social media. But what social media did was that it attracted the exact people that I want to work with over and over and over again. And by showing up in a particular way, I'm telling you, your job is going to be much more enjoyable. Because when you attract your ideal client, guess what? They're friends with other people who are your ideal client. And we just rinse and repeat, right? And actually, we don't rinse it. We just keep it going because I want to say a part of their lives is a relationship business. And you have to use the tool of social media in a way to build relationships. Now, speaking of building relationships, bestie, if this was helpful, like if you're listening to this like, oh, coach, put me in. Okay, I'm ready to put you in. We are getting ready to invite some besties into Accelerator coaching. And if that is you, if you are like, I need more of this, more of me not overthinking it, more of simplifying the process and some accountability and support to make sure that I actually follow through, then I invite you to check out Accelerator. Go to rosemarylewis.com/Accelerator. We only open this up a couple times a year and it's closing soon, okay? So what I don't want you to do is miss out on the opportunity to accelerate, right? Just imagine if you start this strategy and implementing it in your business, right? Not just showing up on social media, dancing, doing a little reel, right? Your ideal client is first-time home buyers and you talking about rentals, like the math ain't mathin'. If you start implementing these things, can you imagine exactly where your business will be a year from today? But here is the scarier question. Can you imagine where it won't be? So if you are ready to get off the fence and if you have been watching and absorbing all things Real Estate Bestie and you're ready to take the next step, rosemarylewis.com/Accelerator. I would love to welcome you in and like literally drop a comment for me and tell me exactly what part of this was your aha, right? Was it the ideal client? Was it solving their problems? Was it showing up where they are? And I promise you, we will continue to support you as much as we can, bestie. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.